Hey, welcome back to Roy V Restorations. We're feeling pretty adventurous today, and what we're going to try to do is cut the hole in the top of the deck lid to fit the Le Mans camp that sticks out of this Trans Am build. Yesterday we cut the hole and mounted the plate. It's going to be our pin hold down for the trunk area. These old Trans Am cars had a mast that stuck up right here, straight through the trunk. So while the trunk's closed, there's a Le Mans cap right here on the trunk that will allow you to fuel the tank, which was oversized. They cut two fuel tanks in half, welded them back together, so they held about 30 to 32 gallons a tank for the race. So what we're going to try to do is measure and cut that hole to fit, and here's how we're going to do it. Okay, here's the tank out of the car. You see that I've already cut the thing in half. Now I'm not going to use the bottom half of the tank like the original Trans Am cars did. I'm going to use a fuel cell that will be underneath the tank. So from the top, it'll look original. From the bottom, it'll be safe and ready to race. And what I'm going to do is, I have the appropriate measurements for where the hole goes on the top of the tank. So we're going to measure that out here in a minute. Flatten the area right here where it sits. And then we're going to mock up what the mast will look like using some PVC and some plumbing stuff so that we'll hold it steady. We'll put it back in the car. We'll check it for the height that it needs to be, and then we'll let the mast that we're going to set up mark our spot underneath the deck lid to make the first cut. I've never done this before, and there's nothing on the internet about it, so hopefully this might help you cobble your way through this project at a later date. Let's give it a try. Okay, according to an original picture that I have, and somebody who's already drawn out the measurements, the location for this hole that I'm about to cut in this top pan here, from the center point of this little square right here, is 9 1/8 inches that way, and then 4 3/4 inch down, which puts it right here at this mark right here. So, like I say, I'm going to be using this PVC pipe, which is not the exact same size as the pipe that we'll finally use. But the way I'm going to do it, since there's a fuel cell underneath, the gas won't actually be flowing through the iron pipe or aluminum pipe that we'll use for this. It'll be flowing through a fuel hose that's inside of it. And so I'm not worried about the exact size right now. But what I'm using right here, this is a pressure tester for the bottom of this pipe, but it's exact diameter of the pipe. And so we're going to set this here, look right down the center of the hole, and find our little mark there. And that's how we're going to draw the outside of it. And then we're just going to slightly undercut it. And then we'll use this stopper, press on the bottom of the pipe with the pipe sitting on top to hold that pipe in place on the gas tank while we configure the rest of it and cut the pipe to size for height. That's kind of the way we're going to go about it. I know it seems a little convoluted, but I couldn't think of any other way to do it. So anyway, we're going to continue to forge ahead. We've got our circle drawn, and like I was trying to explain a minute ago, this is going to be a little smaller than what we're going to actually use, but that's okay. We can always go bigger, but we can't go smaller than the hole that we're going to cut, clearly. But we're going to go ahead and cut this hole, and then we're going to take some time to hammer and dolly and flatten this area around there, because eventually there will be holes drilled in here that will hold the bottom flange. And so we got to flatten this whole area out around here using a hammer and dolly. So that's what we're going to do first. We're going to cut the hole, then we'll straighten the rest of that area out, and we'll see how that looks and get back to you. Here's the gas cap I'm planning on using, Le Mans cap. And you can see that the hole that I've cut isn't far off from where we're going anyway. It's pretty close. But the reason I'm going to use it here is because the flange around this cap is the size flange that we'll be using all the way through this stack that we're building. And I'm going to draw a circle around that, and I'm going to flatten out all of this area of the gas tank around that, since the bottom flange will have to sit flat. So that's giving me my dimensions for flattening it out. Turning it upside down and smacking it pretty good on both sides. And I got it pretty flat. It's not completely flat, but eventually I'll be drilling holes all the way around here for the flange. And with the nuts on the back and the bolts from the front, it'll suck that together real good, and you'll see that it's nice and flat. Okay friends, don't judge me. There's a bunch of different ways to skin a cat, and I've tried a few different ways, and let me tell you, what I'm doing is I have a level on a piece of 4x4 sitting underneath the tank. It is centered exactly in the hole. And then you can see it's right here on the deck lid. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint a couple of crosshairs. I'm going to go this direction, I'm going to turn it to go the other direction. And it's an automatic leveling level, so it's setting perfectly level at this point in time. So as I follow the line up and down as I open the trunk and close it, I'm seeing that this line is staying exactly in the same place and not moving at all. And so this will allow me to write a little crosshairs that'll give me my first area to drill. You know, it's not an exact science, of course, and the hole itself is going to be oversized so that it will fit, the cap will fit through it. So I can be, you know, a couple of millimeters off either way. It doesn't have to be perfect, but I'm finding this is a pretty accurate way to do this. It's coming through the bottom of the hole there. It's centered. And there, straight up to the deck lid. So, you know, you got to do what you can. This is the way it works. Okay, the first way was easy. This way was a little more difficult to line up in the hole. But if you look and you follow it right up to the top of the trunk, you'll see that we have lined it up to the edge of a feature line of the trunk. So it is directly straight across the hole, and it's the center of the hole, and then it's straight across the trunk too. It's gonna be a little more difficult because this one, the trunk's gotta be closed for me to mark it in the right spot. So we're gonna figure out how to do that in just a second. Okay, with the gas tank removed and the light in the exact same place, now we can come up from underneath with the trunk closed and mark the second crosshair. We'll have our place to start drilling. Sometime. So let's drill a hole in this trunk. Okay, here's our hole in the top of the trunk. So basically we're going to try to center the gas cap as cleanly as we can here, and we'll start tracing around it. Then we'll make a paper template for an absolute size. And then we're going to go after this sucker with a saber saw. And then we're going to learn how to make some sort of a stainless trim piece to go around it, or something that'll cover that raw edge. And the support braces underneath we'll tack down with a MIG welder at a later date and grind that down so it looks nice and original. Okay, before we cut, we have to have a spicy chicken sandwich Chick-fil-A break. Sorry guys. I was a little concerned before I started cutting that I made sure that I had this right. I was looking for a way to test it. Basically, I made a plumb bob out of a washer, piece of string, and a nut. And although it's kind of hard for it to see through the camera without being at the right angle, it does fall pretty well dead center of the hole with the trunk closed. So that's definitely what we wanted. So now I feel a little bit better about cutting holes in my car. Sometimes you have to get real technical to make it right. Okay, we've run our template, clearing the front and the back of the cap. Makes a little keyhole. You could go a little bit bigger around the entire thing and just make it big and round. But I like this look better. So now that we have it marked up, we're going to cut it. We're going to start with a saber saw with a real fine tooth blade for metal cutting, but we may have to go to a body saw to get through the braces that cross underneath this area of the trunk. Okay, well here's the hole, and it's got some corners that need to be cleaned up. I can tell a couple of the flat surfaces have a slight angle to them, but it's not bad, and the round part is very, very round, so that looks good. I'm going to mock up that PVC pipe to the tank so we can get a good look at what the cap looks like sitting out of it. Then we'll come back up and we will straighten out all of the corners and get ready to find a way to trim the edge of this so we don't have a nice sharp edge. Okay, well, this is the setup with the PVC pipe. It's not perfectly in the center of the hole, but that's really adjustable from the tank side, and the final metal pipe will have a much firmer grip on the tank itself. But you can see it fits right through the hole. I think the PVC pipe people had this in mind for the use of this stuff. But open, close the trunk, fits through the hole. So what I'm going to do is come in with I'm going to clean up all these corners so all the stuff is flat. I'm also going to trim the entire thing with a piece of stainless steel that's about 1/4 inch or a little bit more wide. And it's not quite ready for paint, but we'll clean it up, tack weld the inside so that the braces are still attached to the bottom. And I believe that's got it covered. Hope this was a help to somebody, since I couldn't find anything on the internet about it. Thanks very much for watching.